Hi guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Dell P2719HC. Now this monitor is a full HD 27-inch monitor that has USB Type-C connectivity. And there aren't many full HD monitors that have USB Type-C connectivity. Now this monitor has a 16:9 aspect ratio, has a quoted response time of 8 milliseconds which can be boosted down to 5 milliseconds, has inputs of HDMI, DisplayPort and USB Type-C, has got USB Type-A ports, outputs that is, 2 on the left side and 2 underneath, and finally it's an IPS panel. Now this monitor isn't cheap. For a full HD panel it comes in at £295. Now there are many other monitors to consider, but most of them don't have a USB Type-C connectivity. For example, AOC's 1440p monitor at 31.5 inch can be found for £215. Dell's full HD IPS monitor can be found for £225 as well. And then there is Philips's pop-up camera full HD 24-inch can be found for £195. And finally, a USB Type-C enabled monitor that I found at 1440p resolution, again, so almost double the resolution of full HD, can be found for £328. So in other words, there's not much competition, but there's monitors there that are worth considering over this Dell monitor. So how does this Dell monitor compare and how does it do? So first of all, let's talk about build quality. Now the monitor is fantastically well designed. It's got 3-sided borderless design, which means it takes up less space on your desk, so a 27-inch monitor doesn't look as big as it would. It's got a very small bezel underneath with OSD function buttons that can be found on the right hand side, easy to access, and the OSD itself is comprehensive, provides a full suite of options, and better still, also even remembers the last positions that you were in when you entered the OSD. I know that might be a small minor point, but it's also useful to bear in mind because it can be useful if you're using it on a day-to-day basis. Now the monitor stand is very sturdy. It is plastic, however it provides full sorts of adjustments that you'd require. It's got height adjustment, which can be sometimes a little bit stiff, as you noticed. It's got pivot, swivel and tilt and everything. So it's got all the sorts of adjustments that you'd ever want on a monitor. So other than that, in terms of design-wise, I think Dell have done a fantastic job. But what's more important here is the actual IPS panel, the image quality. So in terms of my input right now, I've got it running via DisplayPort. However, just to test the USB Type-C input, as you can see over there, I've got my Surface Go, and what I did is just connect it over the provided USB Type-C cable that was in the box, and hey presto, you're going to see the USB Type-C input now via the laptop. So in other words, USB Type-C is a great sort of option to have. However, when I was doing my sort of analysis of the panel, I was using DisplayPort via my PC. Now in terms of the monitor itself, the IPS panel has great viewing angles. There's no problems there. However, it does suffer from a little bit of IPS glow and also a little bit of backlight bleed, but it's to be expected from a 27-inch IPS monitor. Most monitors which have an IPS panel and don't have full local array dimming won't have a perfect sort of deep blacks with no sort of backlight bleed. However, I do understand it can be a concern for some, and for someone who does actually own and use on a daily basis an IPS panel myself, it is not bad at all, and you're not going to have any problems when you're going to be using it in dark scenes. Now in terms of the overall brightness of the monitor, it's a little bit dim, however it can be boosted up via the OSD. Though a little word of warning is that when you go to around 100%, what you'll notice is the white point goes a little bit off, so it won't look as sort of accurate when it's ramped up to 100%. So its white point seems a little bit off in comparison to other monitors I've seen. However, if you reset it or use it as default value at 75%, what you'll notice is you get the best sort of color tones. Speaking of which, the color tones over here are fantastic. This IPS panel really does shine through. It's got an average contrast ratio, and it's not one that's going to blow your mind in terms of its its contrast and in terms of the colors popping and being vibrant. but given the price of the monitor and given where it's aimed at, I must say the monitor does really tick all the boxes here. I've got no complaints whatsoever, and out the box it looks fantastic. Blacks look black, colors have a good sort of saturation in some respects, and yes, they might not be as vibrant as some other IPS panels or not have the same contrast ratio as some other VA panels, but you'll be honestly impressed, especially at the price. Now, in terms of gaming performance, it's not a gaming monitor, and it's a shame because most monitors, nowadays support AMD FreeSync. So for a monitor of this sort of price, not to support AMD FreeSync was a little bit surprising. But nevertheless, AMD FreeSync, G-Sync is not supported, HDR is not supported either. And in terms of gaming performance, on the normal response time setting, which you can find through the OSD, what you'll find is the monitor is pretty slow to respond. Input lag isn't great either. Where moving my mouse in certain flicks and certain twists, I found that the monitor didn't really respond to inputs as fast as I would want in comparison to, say, a class-leading gaming monitor. Ramp up the response time to the faster setting, and then what I found is, yes, the response time boosted down, so you got a much better response time. However, what I then did find is a massive amount of overshoot to the point that it was very distracting. So if you're going to be using this more for casual gaming, definitely use it on a normal overdrive setting, and absolutely would not recommend this for any sort of competitive gaming because it's really not suited for it. So overall, what do I think of the monitor? Well, it's not a gaming monitor, that's pretty clear. It is a really well designed monitor and has a very nice IPS panel. However, it is expensive, and it's funny because I recently reviewed another Dell monitor in terms of this, and the same sort of conclusion came around. It is expensive. I'm paying nearly £300 for a full HD 27-inch monitor. And yes, it might have USB Type-C, but for me personally, it's not an end all. I don't need USB Type-C. However, if you're someone who really needs USB Type-C, you might want to consider the Philips variant instead, and yes, it might be smaller but offers double the resolution than of what the Dell does, and it's only £30 more. Alternatively, if you take away USB Type-C, as I mentioned before, you've got a variety of different inputs, different monitors to choose from, and some of them are actually really well versed for gaming as well. So realistically, would I recommend this monitor? Well, it's hard to say because there's no real full HD USB Type-C monitor. But should I really be caring about USB Type-C and or the fact that this is limited to full HD, whereas other monitors are not limited to full HD and run up to 1440p? Well, no, it's hard to ignore because I'm a customer and a consumer myself. It's something that I would be considering if I'm looking for monitors in the market. So unfortunately, I can't see myself recommending this monitor. However, I can see it being a decent all-rounder for those people who have a lot of money and just simply love Dell for some reason. So there we go, guys. I've been Totally Dubbed. Hopefully you've enjoyed this unpaid, unbiased, independent review. Make sure you give it a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and definitely check out in the description below for all the other monitors that I've mentioned in this review, and including the links to specs and the buy links and whatever to this very Dell monitor you can see in front of you. Alright guys, take care and bye bye.